Norfolk & Western 611 made her triumphant return to steam in early 2015 after a 21-year absence. As she thundered home to her birthplace in Roanoke, Virginia, after her year-long restoration in Spencer, North Carolina, many remembered the extraordinary efforts that were made to make this day possible. On May 24, 2014, after nearly 2 decades of display at the Virginia Museum of Transportation, the 611 was towed out of the museum to be restored to service to participate in Norfolk Southern's 21st Century Steam program. Prior to her restoration at the North Carolina Transportation Museum in Spencer, 611 participated in Streamliners at Spencer, a gathering of vintage streamline locomotives from across the country. This was 611's last event as a cold machine and a display before restoration. After countless volunteer hours over the next year, the 611 was steamed up for the first time in 21 years on March 31, 2015. Following a test run to Greensboro, North Carolina, the 611 headed home on May 30th, which ironically was the day after her 65th birthday. Even more ironic was the first big run of her new career followed the same route she ran on her final run of the 20th century. For the rest of 2015, 611 operated a series of trips for Norfolk Southern before being put to bed for the fall and winter. For fans of the 611, great excursions were coming soon in 2016. In February 2016, 611 was sent back down to Spencer, North Carolina to have FRA work performed on her prior to her upcoming excursion season. Just days before, her original worn-out pilot wheels under the cylinders were replaced and were still painted in primer as the J headed south. Once the FRA work was completed, her excursion season was set to begin. The weekend of April 9th, the 611 would pull 2 round-trip excursions. The first was from Spencer, North Carolina to Lynchburg, Virginia, and the next day was from Spencer to Asheville, North Carolina. Because of the weight of the train and the curvature of the trackage between Old Fort and Asheville, 611 was supported by the North Carolina Transportation Museum's former Southern Railway FP7 number 6133 and Norfolk Southern Southern Railway Heritage Unit. However, Saturday's trip had both engines mostly silent for the run to Lynchburg, as 611 did most of the work. After her arrival in Lynchburg, 611 was turned on the Kinney and Linwood Y. Following the successful first weekends of trips, 611 would pull 2 Greensboro, North Carolina to Roanoke, Virginia trips on April 23rd and 24th, this time with no diesel assistance and warmer weather. Arriving at the city of her birth, Roanoke, slightly ahead of schedule, 611 backs her train into the old N&W Depot site, now the O. Winston Link Museum. Ready to head to Greensboro, 611 pulls forward, switch tracks, then reverses over the Y for the return run. With 4 excursions so far under her wheels, 611 returns to Roanoke and prepares for the next series of trips. 611 operated a series of Roanoke-Lynchburg, Roanoke-Walton half-day excursions the first weekend in May. The only trips 611 would run on home rails. .611 arrived at Lynchburg's Kinney Yard to be turned and then headed back to Roanoke. Later, she would run on to Walton. For the next several weeks, the J would be on display at the Virginia Museum of Transportation before her next series of trips from Manassas, Virginia to Front Royal. .611 was ferried from Roanoke to Lynchburg prior to the Manassas trips to pick up additional coaches at Kemper Street Station. The Manassas trips were the last trips of the 2016 excursion season.
No, that's the day. People don't talk.
Although the mainline excursions were over for 2016, .611 did get the chance to operate further at the North Carolina Transportation Museum and even pulled the on-site passenger train on July 30th. After the museum train rides, the .611 pulling passenger trains for 2016 came to a close. With a hopeful future ahead, a new generation will get to witness .611 in operation in the future.